Chapter 1. Everyone needs to stop calling the house. Adults are so weird about death. Just look at some of the helpful things some people have said to me and my sister since Mum was declared dead. 1. She's in a better place now. What am I supposed to say to that? Yeah, it sucks that they still haven't found her body, but the ocean is cool. She always wanted her ashes to be scattered there someday anyway. 2. At least it was peaceful. Drowning is like falling asleep. That isn't true. I looked it up and wish I hadn't, because it turns out drowning is, in fact, a really scary way to die. But now I can't unread that, so thanks for that, Uncle Mark. 3. This is why it's so important to be healthy, so you can live to 100. To be fair, this was said by my Auntie Lily, who will look at any food you put in front of her and immediately tell you whether it prevents or causes cancer. Nothing is cancer neutral apparently, but Mum woke up at 6 a.m. every day to run in the park and used low sodium soy sauce, and it didn't do her any good. So if anything, this just shows you that it doesn't really matter. 4. The important thing is that she loved you. This one is a little better because it actually is true. I know that just like I knew every time I opened my lunchbox, there'd be a handwritten note reading, "You can do well if you work hard. Love, Mum." Always the same exact words ever since my first day at kindergarten. But the thing is, it was just as true 10 days ago, and back then, Mum was still alive. So I don't see how that's supposed to make me feel any better. We finally had the funeral 3 days ago, but the weird old landline phone in the living room is still getting calls from family members and family friends, including some I'd never heard of before. I know they mean well, calling to check in on us, and I guess I'd be mad if they didn't call. But it's starting to get on my nerves because we're also getting calls for our tailor shop downstairs. It doesn't reopen until next week, but since we already have a 2-week backlog, not to mention all the orders that we already had and were left unfinished when we closed, Dad started taking them so he wouldn't be totally bombarded on Monday. He also started putting the phone on speaker so he could cook at the same time. All morning has been an endless series of sympathy calls mixed with, "Hem these pants," "My jacket is missing buttons," "Make me this dress from the internet," "When are you reopening? Sorry for your loss." Over the weekend, my grandma had been coming over to help Dad out with the house, but today Aimee had to go back to work at the beauty salon. So I woke up to find two to-do lists stuck to the door of the room I share with my sister. I just picked up our last load of laundry from the laundromat next door, so I only have a couple items left on mine. My best friend, Tita, said that she'd stop by after lunch, and I won't know exactly when that is because I don't have my own phone yet, and I told her not to call the house. But it's almost 1, so it should be soon. I just need to power through a little bit longer. "Oh, come on, Mona Lee," I groan when I come back into the living room, only to find the laundry basket containing the previous load still unfolded. My 8-year-old sister's list of chores was just a post-it note, but all she's gotten done are 4 socks. Not 4 pairs, not even 2 pairs. 4 single unmatched socks folded in half, very neatly to be fair. "It's not my fault. My hands are small," Mona Lee whines. The uncut bangs of her bowl cut hang in the front of her eyes, so she has to keep swiping them aside. Dad usually takes us to get our hair cut at a couple weeks before school starts, but Aimee said we're not supposed to cut her hair until after the mourning period is over. "What does that even mean?" I reply. My voice comes out angrier than I meant it to, and it freaks me out. After we drove home from the funeral, Aimee made us stop at a random McDonald's and all get out to use the bathroom so the bad death vibes wouldn't follow us home. Now that I think about it, it seems kind of messed up to just dump said vibes in a public restroom, but I just wanted to go home already, so I didn't question it. Aimee and Auntie Lily then took me aside by the ketchup dispenser and told me that as the oldest, I have to woman up and be strong for my dad and sister now. But even if growing up means no more skateboarding with Tita on Saturday mornings because I need to do chores, I'm still too young to be snapping about chores. I take a deep breath and I try to calm down. A few weeks ago, I could just roll my eyes and tell my sister not to be so sensitive, but things are different now. I don't want to be like the callers trying to help, but just being another problem for Dad to deal with. And then the phone rings again, and I imagine snatching it out of my dad's hands and hurling it out the window. But our apartment is on the second story above the tailor shop, which is right across the street from the second most popular boba shop in downtown Avalon. I don't want to accidentally hit and kill a pedestrian. Their family might hunt me down for revenge, or spam us with 1-star reviews on Google. Reliable quality tailoring, says Dad in the kitchen. Oh, sorry, Auntie Susan. Even though Dad's family hasn't lived in America as long as Mum's side, his Chinese is a lot worse than hers. He speaks Mandarin at about a first-grade level, or maybe a second grader who is not very bright for his age, if you're feeling generous. So he takes his calls mostly in English with the occasional broken Chinese, which means a good number of both the customers and the family friends hang up pretty quickly. But it also means makes it harder for me to block out the ones that I don't. I grind my teeth as I listen to him explain to Auntie Susan that it's very nice of her to call, but he's making lunch right now. Wow, you cook? Auntie Susan says over the speakerphone. She's not actually my dad's aunt, but a friend of my grandma's that he calls Auntie out of respect, just like Mona Lee and I do to all Chinese adults. No, not really, Dad admits. I mean, I could make instant noodles okay in college, but, well, it's been a while. I've been learning with YouTube, though. Dad took care of most of the housework while Mum ran the business. The exception was cooking. Amma never taught Dad how to cook because, according to her, he was too handsome to need how to learn to make his own food. That seems super weird and sexist to me, not to mention really insulting to my Uncle Kenny, who she did teach to cook. But Mum thought it was the funniest thing ever. She would ask Dad to help her with something in the kitchen and then go, "Oh, sorry, I forgot. You can't cook because you're too handsome." Literally 2 seconds after Dad hangs up, the phone rings again. "Reliable quality tailoring," Dad says, his voice so dead you'd think he just got back from his own funeral. "Oh, hi, Mark." I squeeze the necklace around my neck tightly. It's basically just a red string, but tied into an elaborate pendant of interconnected knots and loops, like the red knot decorations that we hang up for Lunar New Year. Mum made it for me before I was born, and she and Mona Lee and Auntie Kathy have ones too. I have my own chores to take care of. I don't have time to do all of Mona Lee's too, but maybe she just needs a nudge to get started. Grudgingly, I fold a pair of pants in half, then toss it on the floor for her to fold again. Pouting, Mona Lee looks down at the butterfly print pants in front of her. "Mum made that for me," she sulks. "Well, yeah, Mum made all of your clothes." I realize and correct my mistake as soon as I say it, and immediately wish I hadn't. Mona Lee's lower lip starts to quiver. Oh no. "Aimee!" Dad shouts suddenly from the kitchen. "Can you come over here?" My insides twist. Dad doesn't get mad. Ever. The first time I ever heard him yell at someone was last week when Uncle Kenny told us everything happens for a reason. Sucking in my breath, I fling my braid over my shoulder and head to the kitchen. Dad is washing his hand in the sink. I follow a lot of YouTube channels about how to make movies, and there was one about how CGI humans are always so creepy because they're almost lifelike, but not. That's how I've felt looking at Dad ever since Mum died. "Hey, Robin," he says, and some of the tension leaves my body. Dad calls me that because when I was little, I liked to play with him like we were Batman and Robin. But then he adds, "Just got to smile through the pain." He's been saying that a lot lately. I think it's supposed to make me worry less about him, but now every time he smiles, I can tell he's dying inside. "Could you go down to the shop and get some dollar bills from the register? I'm going to order food, and I need to tip the driver." "I thought you were cooking lunch." I almost make a joke about how he's too handsome for this. but I stopped myself. Normally I would joke around with Dad, but I don't know if it'd make him feel better or if reminding him of Mum's old joke would only make him upset. That's been happening a lot lately. I don't know what to say that won't be useless or worse, so I just end up not saying anything. Mum was always telling me I could get straight A's if I just thought through my answers a bit more, but now I have to think about everything, and I hate it. Yeah. Dad looks down at his hand, still running under the running water. Suddenly, I notice a huge cut on his finger. He manages a smile, and I feel like throwing up. I stuff the still incomplete chore list into the pocket of my shorts and turn towards the stairs. At first, I'm relieved to get out of there, but when I put my hand on the rail, it hits me that I haven't been down to the tailor shop since Mum died. I tell myself I'm being dramatic, but there are lots of things I haven't done since Mum died, and I can't just freeze up before every single one of them. I'd never been able to do anything. I roll my eyes at myself to emphasize how silly I'm being, then grip the railing and walk down the stairs to the shop. I switch on the lights. Everything is as organized as a museum exhibit, like usual. When I look over toward the cash register, there's still a bowl of guava candies on the counter and a potted bamboo plant by the door, which I hope is still alive considering no one's watered it since Mum was reported missing. To my shock, my nostrils even catch a faint whiff of my mum's favorite banana milk body lotion. It's a smell that used to relax me, but it's like even my muscles know it's not the same. The usual rat-a-tat-tat of the sewing machine is gone. The only noise in the room comes from the tick-tock of the clock and my own breathing. Suddenly, my unease about coming down here disappears, replaced by a weird kind of relief. It might be musty and full of painful memories, but at least it's quiet. Mum had the shop soundproofed a couple years ago so her work wouldn't wake us up. I could set off firecrackers and Dad wouldn't have any idea. I shut the door behind me, then take a deep breath and scream. It feels even better than I thought it would, to be able to just explode and not have to worry about anybody asking me if I'm still okay. I fill my lungs with air one more time, then scream loud enough to drown out 100 well-meaning relatives. And no one cares that it's my birthday! Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. Besides being 3 days after my mom's funeral, today is also my 12th birthday. I haven't said anything to my family because I don't want to be sulking about my birthday when there's obviously more important things going on. But after getting call after call from anyone who even vaguely counts as a relative and not a single happy birthday, it's hard not to feel a little petty. When I open my eyes again, I see that the bamboo is actually fine. Amma said bamboo is pretty much unkillable, and I guess it's nice that something is. But hanging above it on the wall is Mum's calendar, which is still turned to July. 10 days since Mum thought she'd be right back since her car was found in the ocean. I still don't know how that even happened. She was as careful and precise behind the wheel as she was with the needle and thread. Dad used to say she always drove like the cops were right behind her, but somehow she ended up in the water, or at least her car did. Search and rescue never found her body, so we had to get dressed up and make a fuss about an empty box. For a while, Dad tried to keep the shop running, but as the days piled up and they never found her, they eventually stopped searching. As fast as it appeared, any relief I had is gone. Here and gone just like that. Like Mum. My muscles tense back up as my own thoughts surround me. No, the silence isn't relaxing down here. I just feel alone. Maybe down here I can scream and whine and cry all I want and no one will care. But then I have to go back upstairs to give the money to Dad, and I can't do those things upstairs. I need to woman up. But at the moment, all I can bring myself to do is lean back against the wall, breathing in and out, clutching Mum's pendant like it might just disappear on me if I let it go. Then I hear a bang.